Welcome to Tough Talk with Teachers.
Real teachers that are in the trenches every day sharing authentic struggles, successes, and you can't make this up type of stories.
Edu-learners that talk the talk and walk the walk. Welcome back to another episode of Tough Talk with Teachers.
Today we are at Jackson High School for IgniteEd, a professional development opportunity. It's the first year that they've had it. We are super excited to be here with some awesome educators. If you guys will introduce yourself.
John Sipp from East Prairie High School. I teach high school science.
Haley Russell, I teach high school government at Jackson High School.
Ashley Rainey, I teach 9th grade ELA at Jackson High School.
Oh yeah, we're here with some other people. They're just listeners and viewers.
But we wanted to talk, since we're at a professional development opportunity today, we were kind of just going to talk about the power of collaboration within professional development and the importance of it, and maybe where education can grow from there.
So one person brought up the fact that districts sometimes don't necessarily have all the funds that they need to send many educators to these great opportunities in the summer or even during the school year. And we were wanting to discuss ways to maybe fix that, or maybe ways where we can find funds somewhere else. So does anybody at the table have an idea?
Well, I know like smaller schools, like they get a limited budget just because there's not as many people, and even larger schools, like where I work currently, we can only send a handful of people to these larger conferences, and there's not always like quality PD locally. Sometimes we have to drive to St. Louis, which is a couple hours away, or those big national conferences that are amazing for whatever content area you teach, whether it's history or science or, 5th grade teachers or whatever. Those are the awesome ones, but we just don't have the funds to do that because those are thousands of dollars per teacher to do that.
National conferences are oftentimes sponsored by some large corporations like McGraw-Hill and such, and I wonder if maybe down the line they could sponsor some scholarships that people could apply for to attend free, or at least at a reduced cost.
And I know some of those national conferences offer like 2 days instead of the full time too. So you kind of get a little price break with that as well. I know what I've done in the past, which I don't recommend everybody do, but I've offered to pay travel. Like I went to one in Indiana, and so it was only like a 4-hour drive. And so I said, I'll pay for my food and travel if you'll do hotel and conference. And so sometimes you have to find the middle road. And
yeah, we have a couple of teachers, like especially our music teachers, they work at the junior high and the high school. And so we kind of split the funds. Like they always want to go to this one conference every year. And so we sometimes we'll alternate, or maybe we'll throw in a couple $100 and then the other school will throw in a couple $100 because they are split staff. And then that way they're able to fund it. So that's one idea. Or I know a few of us present at different conferences so that we can get free entry into them. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but, I'm pushing myself just so I can go to more PD.
And I think the hard part can be that a lot of times you'll go to a conference that is geared towards everyone, and you're not getting that specialized help that you need for your content area or your level. And so it's a great conference, but you're not getting the stuff that's allowing you to collaborate with others that's really going to change the way you teach. And I think that's the conferences that we're talking about. A lot of the national conferences, they move throughout the U.S., but even going to St. Louis for a national conference, that national conference could be $600. So yeah, when you come up with having your meals or your mileage and you're like, I'll pay for that. But I think the hard part that a lot of people outside of education forget is that we still don't feel like we're getting paid, but we're willing to give up our time. So I think that's the hard part, is how do you fix that? I have the time, but I don't have the money to do some things.
And I know in the business world, I have friends that just work in the corporate world for, big electric companies or electronic companies, and they get to go to all these different places and do their own version of professional development, and everything is comped. They just get a credit card and they can, swipe it for their meal, or they go out and meet with clients and different things like that. And education is just a completely different ball of wax when it comes to that.
I know we talked about the trade stuff, and you brought up the bigger businesses. I wonder if you could get local businesses involved. with sponsoring their own teachers, especially if it's geared toward, I don't know, even something that seeing their name out there, getting their name out there, the students, could be potential employees of them. I don't know. I think a lot of local businesses may be interested in sending teachers too.
It's an interesting marketing idea.
The big thing is then once they go, what does I think a lot of people forget, I went to this conference, now I have all this information and I'm going to use it in my classroom. But if you're not willing to turn around and then share it with a group of people, I think that's where a lot of times people get turned off because they said, well, what did you do? Well, I learned this and this, but you haven't shown anyone that. So I think we as educators have to find that scale, that makes it so yes, we'll send you, but we want you to show us what you did or to share it. Even if somebody said, we'll give you money if you present once or twice in a 6-month period and you say, Rubbermaid sent me, then Rubbermaid is going to be okay with that because they have their name out there.
I agree with you. My district, we have our own in-house PD days where we have our teacher experts come in and we teach other teachers on topics we know. And I think part of the problem why some districts don't want to pay for some of these conferences is that they don't understand how powerful they are. They don't understand what is available. And I think if we help them to see what's available and how it's worthwhile, then maybe they'll be a little more loose to provide the money.
And that in-house PD is often very excellent. But in your specific area, how many people do you really have the opportunity to collaborate with that is going to change your teaching of that topic?
That's true. I know we're looking at possibly next year having a couple of different districts come together on a day where we have different departments that can meet and learn from each other. So hopefully we're going to help start fostering that. But it is kind of a problem being able to network with other teachers face to face.
Yeah, that would be a great idea for your area, just, collaboration. And I know, like, in a larger district, we've had kind of like carousel sessions and stuff, and we've tag teamed with other buildings just so that we could have more people, and it's not just the same 5 or 10 people from my building presenting to our staff. And, even district-wide and doing that too, I think that's a good resource as well.
On that same note, those same 5 or 10 people that are presenting every time, where are they getting poured into? Because they're the ones that are presenting to everybody else, but where are they getting that information from? Are they being sent out, or are they doing all of that on their own to better themselves, and then they're not getting anything from those PD days because they're presenting?
Exactly, and that's been one of the biggest complaints from 1 or 2 of our people because, they're great presenters with our own staff, but they're struggling to get what they need to push their own craft to the next level. And so it's just an interesting conundrum.
I know somebody in the room earlier had said that you could do rotations like they do grade levels, I think, every year. But then you go back, and I just think of that. I think that's great, but I also think, so only that grade level is getting something. Maybe if you picked one or
because that
two,
could be once every 4 to 6 years that you're
Right.
going somewhere, or even department-wise, same thing.
And so, yeah, and teaching is just like technology. Like last year's stuff was already old this year in some cases. And so you're always wanting to find the newest thing to try to incorporate to, like you said, make your craft better, but to just be better for your kids that you're trying to reach.
And just because it's my year doesn't mean that there's a good conference for me to attend.
Oh, true. Or that it's close by and fits in the budget because, there's a big conference next year in California, but 2 years ago it was only 5 hours away. So, we could send more people a couple years ago than next year just because of flights and costs and things like that. So,
Yeah, and I think maybe another way is just talk to our local representatives and just say, this is a big need. I mean, what else do you do really, right? I mean, if there's not enough money coming in from those agencies, then we need to go and say, we need more money to send more people to learn about these things. It's not like they're going to get it necessarily locally, especially for some of us, Southeast Missouri. The bigger conferences are always hours and hours away.
On the coast or
It's not just a drive, it's a plane ride,
I wonder if smaller districts like mine can do cost sharing, where maybe one district pays for the room and one district pays for the fuel, and one for the food or whatever, and maybe it'd be more likely for folks to go if they're able to do that. So
Yeah, that would be cool. And I don't mind, sharing a bed with somebody at these things. Like, I'll cuddle with you, like that's not a big deal. And so, I just did that at a non-education conference. A girl couldn't afford to get a hotel herself, but she could afford the registration. So I was like, all right, I know you. Let's cuddle, and we rocked it out and it was fine. Like, so why not?
I know Jackson has the Partners in Education, so each building has a local business partner that gives them so much money or does so much stuff for that building. I wonder if you hate to keep asking those specific local businesses, but if you had some that were specific towards PD, I don't know, they could sponsor, like one business could sponsor each building or a building.
Yeah, I think a lot of our local businesses realize, because it's their kids going through it, you're not asking the major corporations because they don't necessarily care about your school. But when little Johnny is in your classroom and they know that this would be a great conference, they're willing to do some things for you because it's affecting them as well.
Yeah, that direct impact.
That's a great idea. I think you run into, and this is just me playing devil's advocate, but you guys are different. Like in Cape, I think some schools have sponsors and you can't really double dip. But if you guys are given sponsors per building, that's
kind of cool. That's a cool idea.
And we have ABC Today, so we kind of have that too.
Yeah, we have a network
so
to pull from. But
just forget I said anything about that because that's basically the same thing. But I think we're gonna wrap it up here.
This has been an interesting discussion for sure today, and just definitely some questions to ponder. No real solutions, but definitely something that the world of education definitely needs to.
Yeah, and we're doing this during the summer, just FYI. So this is not anything we get paid for. This is just bettering ourselves with our own time, our own money. Nobody pays us to be here.
But we're happy to do it.
Here at Tough Talk with Teachers,
we know teaching is tough, but so are you.